Okay, our first question here is it worth my time thinking about God? Well, that's a really good question. I think almost everybody has that question at some point. Whether we start when we're young or as we get older, or maybe someone we knew passed away, or whether we're seeking the truth, or whether we're trying to find out our purpose in the world, or all kinds of different questions. So, um, why is it important? Well, let's look at some facts that we really know first, and then see if that can help us answer the question. Um, so let's look at the kind of the maximum lifespan of a person, 100 years, let's say. Okay, so 100 years. So that's something we know, and then we die, and that's just a fact that we can't avoid. Uh, Something that everybody knows, okay? So we're going to start with that. Now let's look at how old is the universe? Now there are different opinions on that, and I'm not going to get into a whole debate on that. So, but let's say the earliest estimate of the universe, I'd say the youngest age would be about 6,000 years old. And there are different people that do believe that, and they'll give their reasons. And then we look at the older age of the universe, and that would be about 13.8 billion years. And people will give their reasons for that too. Now, whether you believe one or the other, that's not the debate here. Either way, that is a very long time. Okay, so we're dealing with a very long time compared to our life. Now, that doesn't mean our lives are unimportant. It just means that our lives are 100 years short compared to the age of the universe to this point. Now let's look ahead into the future. How long do we think the universe will last? And there are different projections there. One theory is that the universe will accelerate and keep accelerating until there's no more energy left, and they call that the big freeze. Another theory is that the universe will expand but slow down, gradually slow down, reach a stop, and then gravity will pull it back and back to the original point. They call that the big crunch. But whether you believe in one or the other, based upon facts or your beliefs, that either one is a long, long time. So at least twice as long as the start of the known universe. So we're looking at an extremely long amount of time. But when we're talking about God, one of the things that we're also going to inevitably think about is heaven. And heaven is eternity, in eternity. So it's kind of hard for us to get our minds around the idea of eternity. But let's take what we know. The age of the universe is a very long time. Now let's imagine a rock the size of the moon made out of solid granite. And every 1,000 years we are allowed to land on it, take a pickaxe, take one swing, take a chunk out, and then leave. And then we'd come back another 1,000 years later, do the same thing. So by the time we were able to whittle the moon down to nothing, that would be the beginning of eternity. So when we look at the age of the universe, eternity is even longer. All right, so let's bring that into context of what it means in this question. So our lives are about 100 years, very short compared to eternity. Here's another way to put it. Imagine you took a ball of string and you walked around your house 100 times. Then on one side of the string, you put a pin. So the string that went around the house several times, that would be the age of the universe, and that tip of the pin would be the age of your life. Now, that doesn't mean your life is not important. It actually means your life is extremely important, and the time that we have is extremely important when we're deciding issues and questions about eternity. Because if we get it wrong in that little time period, we get it wrong for eternity, and we don't want that. So when we look out, is it important to think about God? Yes, simply yes, because we're talking about eternity. And when we look at the whole scope of time, it's certainly worth our time. Now, that doesn't answer all our questions that we have, but our question here was, is it worth my time thinking about God? And yes, if God is in eternity, and that's what people believe, then it's certainly worth our time to think about, because we don't want to get that wrong. So throughout the series, we're going to get into more questions and answers about that.